you've been with my channel, you know sometimes I do just like a scrapbooking and I do talks about books. So today I really wanted to do is just like very relaxed, talking about maybe books that we could consider related to autumn, and they are usually, I'm going to talk about ones that are not mentioned as frequently, and something that you might want to consider. So but I don't really want to make it like all like showing books and video, but I'm just gonna like do relaxed talking with scrapbooking, the monstrosity that I made the other day in front of me, that to bring that sort of bit more of autumnal mood. And you know, the things that I'm gonna scrapbook are probably gonna be like more autumny colors, and this is a spider web, so and things that are relevant. But it's more like a relaxed chat with like a cup of coffee, and oh, I do wanted to share because I think it's very much in the mood. I made some cookies that look like crying babies with dark eyes, like possessed babies. Okay, so the first one, I think it's best to talk in categories, and the first category is really what I think about autumn is forests and anything that sort of resonates with wood and smells of forest, moss. That's why I have some, you know, mossy crafts. So obviously recently I read this book called Wildwood, and it's like a fairy tale, like Alice in a Wonderland type of thing, where it's a bit sort of feels a little bit fantastical with talking animals and all. It's about a girl whose brother got kidnapped by crows, and I think it perfectly matches. There is a witch in the forest, and you get that, you know, fairy tale-ish forest scenario, and you get indulge into it. So I think it's something that I picked up from Canada, so it's not like, I think not as frequently mentioned, and I really wanted to shed some light onto it. The other one that is like very nature-based is that I was speaking a lot, that I really liked when I read it not that long ago as well, by Ash Oakenthorn. It's about little sprightly people, and obviously it resonates with my writing, but it also definitely shows the love for nature. And even at when, like I mentioned in my previous video, we have like little activities and shows about nature to watch and other inspirations, which I think perfectly suits if you're looking something about like foresty for the season. The other one that you won't necessarily think about when you think about autumn, but some people did read it, is Wildwood. I find, because it's sort of based on native sort of understanding of the forest, I found that the forest and the language of trees sort of resonates differently in that story. It's a middle grade and is, I think, Disney based, but it definitely shows that sort of different culture, understanding of nature, and it definitely had a lot of like texture of the forest to it. So I think definitely worthwhile if you're looking for something that is not necessarily autumny, but does have the mossy vibes to it. Right. Obviously the most important part was for me is witchcraft stories. As we're looking into the spooky season, since I was writing a witchcraft story myself, I was actually looking into like finding good witchcraft stories and all. And obviously I cannot not mention Practical Magic, because it's a movie that I watch every year when autumn strikes in, but also it's magical in writing. I think many years it was on the list, like both like third and fourth books were definitely on the list for the best book of the year. In nominees. So an author herself says she she tries to write, you know, almost every line matters, and like if you don't like the writing or you don't like the first pages, you're probably not gonna like the book. So it's very important to like show that atmosphere, which she does nicely. So obviously, because everyone talks about this book, I thought that I need to say more about the book I'm reading currently. It is called Lollipop Shoes, which is a extension of chocolate, and I only recently heard that it exists from a friend, and now I picked it up, and it's magical. And I have like gone through like over half of it, and I don't think, and I binge listened to it in audiobook, and it's really in audiobook format. It's very atmospheric and definitely worth it. If you're looking for some sort of like texture, magical realism, is something to really consider. And you Alice Hoffman fan, like Practical Magic, is something to really consider. And I think at this point, nothing in the book can happen that would ruin it for me. I think it's this atmosphere that it creates, and every word is beautiful. So that's one of the witchcraft stories that you really need to check out, and it's really all to me, I believe. You know, if you saw Chocolate, it's all about like the wind and where it blows you, right? So I think you get that sense in it. Now other things, obviously I really loved Blood Like Magic, and why I'm also mentioning it because I don't remember how it's called. The second book is coming out, I believe this year, or in autumn possibly, if not in winter. But it was very strong story regards, which apart from it opening about being about periods, it was very strong story about the witchcraft, and it was really much like hooking you in and waiting for this outcome, and stakes very high. So I think as a story, it was really good, but I don't like stories about periods. Period. And anyhow, additionally, I want to say about books that I wasn't into, but I think they're not mentioned enough, and some people might want to read them. Anatomical Venus. It's a pottery book. It sort of relates to like witchy vibes, and it's very textural. It's researched. It sort of grounds into history. I met, I think we were in some sort of stream when we met the author, and we sort of surrounded around these poems. So I know that we definitely sounded like we are very good and very well researched. Some of them might be a bit, you know, gory in a sense of visuals, but I think if you're looking for something spooky, dark academia, witchy vibes, and you want a pottery, that's a good book to look into. There's some history in it, and in the pictures and the research of every poem, so definitely, and it, you know, relates to myths. And yeah, I remember thinking like, oh, maybe I should ask author if I can borrow anything from my book, just to like reference to, because I thought it was really good for that sort of witchcraft vibe. Right, another book I haven't read, but I heard very like good review, and I'm really keen to read it at some point, called Brimstone. And I believe it's about starting fires and a sort of consideration of witchcraft, and it's historical, but how it was described, it sounded very good read, and I definitely want you to also be aware of this book. I just remembered another book that is actually in my shelf, and it's worthwhile showing because it definitely meets criteria about witchcraft. So give me a moment, I'll bring it over. I had to bring the book to show that another book that I haven't read, definitely going to read it at some point. Maybe we'll wait till October, an actual spooky season. It's called Gold Hanger Dog. It's a local author, well, at least from UK, and she written a historical type of book about a girl who understands animals and is persecuted for it. So it's all based in Essex in 1500s, and there's an actual map and actual historical locations. When I was on a presentation for this book, the excerpt that the author read was really like gripping and magical, and I can tell that it's very well written, and as she says and as she presented it, it sounds more of an adventure than just a historical fiction. And you know, otherwise I might not have picked it up. So I think if you're not super big fan for historical fiction, but you're looking something witchy and you still want to indulge in, like, put your toes into the historical area, I think that's really good pick. And the author is Wanda Whitley, the Gold Hanger Dog. I think it's possible recommendation. I haven't read it, but I had like very good impression of it. That's about witchy books, I think. I'm not really, like I say, it's not a proper like recommendation video, but we are just talking about books that might not be addressed enough. And the next one, I think the next category is gonna be ghostly books. And this is the booklet from like, oh dear, from Michael's in Canada that I picked up, and it's the Happy Planner, and it's all fall based. So I'm just picking some stickers out of it that would suit here. And some gorgeous colors. Right. So ghost-like stories. Now, one of the things that I, again, recently read, and you've probably seen if you're watching my videos, but definitely should pick, if you're into graphic novels, you should pick up Cian's Tea Party, and especially if you liked Tea Dragon Society. It's cute, it's, you know, very much bingeable in one read, and it's about a ghost friend. So if you're looking something very sweet, still a little bit of Halloween in it, that's a perfect pick for you. Now, other books, obviously, I did note down some of the things that we usually mention. Is a graveyard book we always mention in these videos. I think another one that you wouldn't necessarily think about fall would be Under the Whispering Door, because it is still about passing and sort of being in that ghostly realm and being a ghost, and you know, and death itself. So it's not necessarily has the same vibe to it, but it is sort of about ghosts. If it's more, if you're looking in the genres, I would say it wouldn't be horror or adventure, it would be more like drama type, like piece of life type of based ghost story. And now I'm not gonna dwell much with the ghosts. Oh, another graphic novel you have to consider. The authors are a French team of 2 people, I believe, called Atelier Center. I follow them on Patreon and everywhere, and they are lovely people. I tried to invite them to interview, but they were a bit shy about it, but said they will try their best to be better in English and maybe next time. But they were like brilliant, and they sound like brilliant people. I love following them. They do this sort of Japan-based ghostly illustrations. And then they have a story called Onibi. It's about 2 tourists, so it has like a sort of touristy sort of vibe through the Japan. And they have a camera, I believe, that can catch ghosts on it. So there are some pictures of it that are ghostly and has that yokai type of vibe to it, and folklore permeated, but it is not scary. Again, I not necessarily like anything scary. So that's something to mention in the ghost category. But moving on, I think we should definitely give a shout to the books that are coming out in October, and the ones that I'm awaiting at the moment, and I did mention Blood Black Fate, and other ones are Glass Witch, because Lindsay Puckett and her channel is just wonderful, and she is such a like lovely figure, like literally she just permeates the light on us. So really want to read her Glass Witch, and middle grade, and another middle grade that I'm waiting for, again talked about, is Spirit Week. It's a sort of a middle grade graphic novel retelling of Shining, so who is not interested how middle grade can show shining and what is actually at the core of that story. You can go back, listen to my interview to the author, our remarks. We spoke about it quite a bit there. But yeah, definitely something to look forward in an October season. It's coming out in October. Now, other thing, more what I think if you're looking for like scary tales, again, we've gone away from ghosts, we've gone away from awaited books, but now if you want something that is just short stories, scary tales, the sister who ate her brothers, Jen Campbell, I loved it. If you have physical copies, lovely in illustrations. You have like folklorish type of stories collected from different countries and different regions, different vibes, but they are brilliantly retold. There is nice intro about like sort of getting ready to it, and really something to add on to your list if you're kind of wondering what you want to read for autumn and not quite there yet. So it wasn't like very strong recommendations on must reads, but I wanted to include all the books that are like not getting enough attention and they're definitely worth it, and sort of not like, you understand, not all of them I read, but I had quite high opinions from it. So something to really pick up, put on your list, read in spooky season, especially if you're looking at specific genre, specific vibe to it. And yeah, and hopefully we get to enjoy the season upcoming. I didn't do enough scrapbooking because I'm too chatty, but I'm gonna finish this up. This is not the main point of the video, so I'm not gonna film this, but once my scrapbook is fully complete, we're gonna do a flip through, so you're not missing out anyway. So here we are, but thank you for sitting in with me and like listening about my ramble on books. Bye!